So every school district out there has a big, bold vision, right? But how do you actually make that vision a reality in every single classroom, every single day? Well, today we're going to dig into how one district, Vista Unified, is solving this exact problem, using a really powerful framework to connect their goals directly to what teachers and students are doing. This right here is Vista Unified's framework for the future. And listen, it's so much more than just a mission statement. This is a promise to develop graduates who are resilient, agile, and creative. I mean, this sets a really ambitious, holistic, high bar for the entire district. And that, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. It's one thing to have a beautiful vision on a poster, but how do you make it the real, lived experience for thousands of students and teachers? This is that gap between what you hope for and what you do, and it's something every single school leader struggles with. All right, so let's break this down. First up, the vision and the gap. Okay, so the main hurdle here is what the source material calls the patchwork problem. And you've probably seen this before. It's, when you have these incredible pockets of innovation happening in some classrooms, but it just doesn't spread. New initiatives are always rolling out, but they feel disconnected. And that leads to confusion and, maybe most importantly, teacher overload. And let's be clear, this isn't a people problem, it's a system problem. This table really nails down where the breakdown happens. See, every district has that top layer, the aspirational one. That's the big vision. And they've got the bottom accountability layer. But Vista spotted this missing middle layer, the operational layer. This is the piece that answers the most important question of all. What do I actually do on Monday? Without that, the vision just floats up there. Okay, so if that middle layer is missing, how do you build it? Well, Vista's answer is what they call a coherence engine. It's a framework designed to bring everything together. So, what is this engine? It's called the Future Ready Educators Possibility Framework, or FREP for short. It's built on tools known as FRUPS and NAV 4.0, but here's the absolute most important part. This is not just another initiative to pile on top of everything else teachers are already doing. Nope. Think of it as the system that organizes all the other stuff. It's basically the ultimate cure for initiative fatigue. And you can see that it's designed with teachers in mind. Relief first, that's all about reducing the mental load. Teacher safe means it protects them from getting bogged down in red tape. And modular means you can adopt it bit by bit. The whole thing is designed to make things simpler, clearer, and just work better. Okay, so that's the theory. Let's see how this engine actually works. We'll start with how it helps bring the district's vision for students, the learner portrait, to life. So here's the vision for what students should become. These are all amazing goals, right? But they can feel a little abstract. I mean, how do you teach resilience? How do you build curiosity in a classroom? Well, this is where the framework makes that direct connection. You want a resilient problem solver? The system gives teachers predictable classroom routines that make students feel safe enough to struggle a bit and take those intellectual risks. You want an agile learner? The routines help reduce student anxiety, which frees up their brain power to actually adapt and think. It's a really clear, direct line from what happens in the classroom to the skills students develop. All right, so that's the students. But what about the adults in the building? Let's look at how this framework supports them, because, let's face it, a vision for students only happens if educators are empowered. And this is what Vista wants for its staff. They're not just looking for instructors. They're aiming for compassionate champions and innovative facilitators. That's a high bar, and it definitely requires the right kind of support. And once again, here's how the framework delivers that support. So, to help teachers become those innovative facilitators, it gives them relief-first planning tools. These tools kind of automate the boring structural parts of lesson design. And what does that do? It frees up their time and mental energy so they can focus on what really matters: being creative, building relationships, and meeting student needs. Okay, so we've covered students and adults. Now let's zoom all the way out and see how this approach helps build a better, more coherent system. At the district level, the goal is to be inclusive, innovative, and really focused on the future. And man, getting that kind of alignment across a huge system, that is the ultimate challenge, right? This mind map gives us a great visual of that architecture. You can see how FRPF is like the central hub, the connector. It links the learner, adult, and system portraits directly to what's actually happening on the ground and how success is measured. Everything flows through this one single unifying structure. So what you end up with is a shared language, shared tools, and shared ways of working.
And that is how it solves that patchwork problem we talked about at the very beginning. Instead of a bunch of disconnected initiatives, you get one coherent system where everyone is basically rowing in the same direction.
And this all brings us to the final result, turning that big, powerful vision into an everyday reality for everybody in the district. So when you boil it all down, the path to coherence is really a clear 3-step process. First, you have the vision, the portraits. Second, you install the engine, that's F for PEF, to fill in that missing middle layer. And third, you get the reality, a unified system where that vision is actually being lived out in every classroom, every single day. And that, right there, is the biggest takeaway. This whole thing isn't about throwing out a district's vision. Not at all. It's about giving that vision the operational muscle it needs to actually come to life. The framework doesn't replace the dream. It's the engine that makes the dream work.